What's going on with the people? Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, brother Barry in the building, early and already. I was thinking about
What's good, fam?
peace, G. I was thinking about you when was thinking about the topic with and I was like, oh Barry, I know Barry you have some stuff. Sure, Barry you have some stuff. I'm glad I didn't talk to you about it previously because I know you have some stuff coming out the cut. But what's
hmm
up, people? It's five
Yeah,
thirty.
y'all.
It's
Yeah,
five
y'all.
thirty.
So I just came back from Twitter Space. I do that.
So, so you already ready?
I
You
do that
already
every
ready?
Sunday. I do that every Sunday from starting at 6 p.m. So starting at 6
Eastern
p.m.
or
Sunday
Eastern or Pacific? Eastern or Pacific?
Eastern time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Um, Today's Twitter Space topic was the need for a nation, the myth of black business. So that was the topic
What's
we were
your
having.
what's your what's your Twitter handle so people will know? You know what I mean?
Islam underscore Jabari, and the title of the name is Reclaiming My Destiny. So that's my Twitter username. So you can look me up at those two areas. So I'm looking forward to tuning in and hearing from some of y'all later in next Sunday.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And if people don't know, Jabari, this young man right here, when it comes to knowledge, if he talking, he like really knows what he's talking about. Like seriously. So if you're gonna say something, know what you talk about because he's coming with something like that he's in read and researched and everything else. Like I appreciate you. And from what I see, you only talk about what you know. That's what I appreciate. It took me a long time to figure that out and distinguish what am I doing, right? Like when I don't know something, let the professionals talk
Yeah.
about what I don't know. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. That's why I like to be
There's
around
nothing
more
wrong.
people. Right. If I
There's
don't know
nothing
something,
wrong.
I sit back. I sit back and listen and learn straight up. But some people like to just like they know just pulling stuff out they you know what. However,
Passionate ignorance.
listen, let me say something else. Big brother Ronan, peace, G. Um, so I was on. I don't know if you've seen when I was posting in the group chat. I was on listening to a sister from Liberia, Emma. I can't remember what her whole handle is, but it's young sister Emma. And I was just saying something, and somebody came out of nowhere. His name was like Deshaun or something, and he was like, "Yeah, you go to the BIO and trying to like colonize, and you got to integrate with the people, and you don't even like Caribbean and island and something like that." And I was like, I was trying to keep up with it because I didn't even see it until he had like tagged me, he had like added me in the comment. I was like, hold on, I saw my name in red, and I was like, well, who'd you hear that from? I know you didn't hear from me, and I was saying stuff like that, and he wouldn't address what I was saying. He just kept on saying this stuff, and I was like, I see you trolling, but you won't. And I've never had anybody come at me directly like that until like last Sunday. We did this little stream. Like, if y'all want to come and talk, here we are. You can come and talk. And nobody said like he came out of nowhere, and I said, I see you just trolling, but you don't want to come talk to us when our stream is going on, right? Like you don't want to come talk to us and like speak your piece because we could talk about that if you think that we don't want Africans and we want to colonize and we don't and we're not going to integrate into where we're trying to go. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about that, like the door is open. The door is totally open for that, and it will be
Mhm.
shut, and you can either come in or you can be let out. But we can talk about that. But that's just idiocy, as you know, Jabbar. I don't even want to talk about it. I just want everybody to know that that did happen. I wish I had the video and everything, but that happened, and everybody who knows what BIO is know that that just sounds ridiculous, like straight up, like straight up. So
Unless
go
it's
ahead.
the other one. Unless it's the other one, then
And I didn't even want to talk about that. You know what I mean? I didn't even want to go into that, so I just like kind of shut it down and like because it
you
wasn't.
kind
I
of
was
did
like
you?
basically I'm here to listen to the sister here, and like ironically, this is a Liberian sister talking, and you talking about the BIL don't want us. It just didn't make any sense. Like the whole thing was crazy.
Mind you, interviewed her, so it's not like we're not. I've
I
interviewed her.
know we definitely have contact with her. She definitely know who BIL is. Like yeah, it was just crazy. It was just crazy. But yes, the topic though that I wanted to focus on today. Oh, hold on, I'm trying. Why are you doing that? The topic I wanted to focus on today was peace, big brother Mark. Was to do it right here. To do it right here. You can call it the myth. To do it right here, or just just the. it seems like that's one of the first attacks against nationhood, or when people are with it, they like, yeah, I'm totally with it. Let's do it right here. You know what I mean? And it's really hard to break that door. And I don't know if it's a real door or if it's just more like a defense mechanism. So like, let's not even talk about it because we're gonna do it right here. We don't care about what the facts are. We're gonna do it right here. Still, like that's like the first like kind of step towards nationhood outside of America. It seems like is like, oh yeah, let's do it right here. Let's get the activismism or isms off. Go ahead. Look like you want to say something. Talk about
Oh no, I was just saying. We had a similar conversation about this in the Twitter space. So
it.
if you go into the Twitter space, we did the need for a nation, the myth of black business, and we really go into some of the premises of the do it right here. So,
Yes, yes, no,
um,
that's the idea of this stream. Yes, sir. That's the idea. Like we want somebody to come and basically who somebody can come and say like, yeah, we think that we can do it right here. Like the BAIO stance is that like we've done that. We've done that. Like what I was gonna say was basically give an analogy because I love analogies. Is that like we basically like the foster children of America, or like the adopt like most most Western shit everywhere know what orphans are and adoption and everything else. So let's look at race, right? Like all of us are adopted into one family, and you got the white kids, the Asian kids, right, right. And in America, we are treated like the foster kids that like nobody cares about if we're being honest, like when it comes to getting the school clothes, right? Like you just ain't getting nothing. You ain't getting nothing. No food. You getting the scraps, and there's specific things like in now in the 21st century, like they were passing laws. I think it was 2019 or 20 Bari. I know you heard it. That they were passing laws saying that you can't discriminate against black folks' hair in the workspace, and we like clap for these as victories. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean. Like you are treated as a foster child in the place that you call your home, where you saying that you're gonna do something at. When you talk about the justice system, we could talk about the justice system for I don't even know how many hours, right? We only doing this for an hour. Like I want to keep this one just an hour, and we dip into the Discord. But but you talk about the justice system. I don't even have to go into details about how horrible. And this point that I want to make too. When you talk about the facts of how mistreated Black folks are in America and worldwide, we're so desensitized to it, family, that we just act like it's nothing. You can give an incredible stat and people will be like, oh well yeah, like and it's like that don't matter about whatever else is going on, whatever bias that we're focused on at the time, whether it's employment, whether it's finances, whether it's whatever, right? If you could say, well, this kind of happens to us like all the time, and people will just be like, whoops, like straight up. So as I'm talking about this, if you have that spirit in you that's saying like whatever, like it doesn't matter, like check that. Where does that come from, right? But excuse me, when you talk about reparations, for instance, every race, every other foster child has gotten their piece of the pie, whether it was righteous or not, right? Like everybody else got their piece of the pie. We still talking about a reparation bill that's 30 plus years old, man. That just says about research. I don't even want to go into that. But again, that's one of them facts. When you talk about reparations, you talk about the fact that it's a 30-year-old bill that the language in there says that this is a bill to research whether or not reparations is a viable thing to give these people. It's not a reparation bill that says, yes, if it passes, here goes some money. It's not a cut the check bill that they're talking about. Just to be clear, people just be like, "Poof, so what? We still reparation." It's insane. It's really insane. But this is what we talk about when we say do it right here. Not it's just not happening. Let's just stop it. Let's just stop it. And we can talk about more. We have murder porn, and I'm talking about the dissimulation of black bodies on national and international television. I'm talking about police just killing us. I'm talking about vigilantes just killing us for the world to see, and we're desensitized to it. We're desensitized to it like that's just the way it is. Literally, we move like that's just the way it is. Just the way it is. That's what happened to black people. It's unacceptable. But what
mhm.
we gonna do about it though? We just gonna do it right here with all of that, and that's just like that much. That's that much of what we really dealing with. Like literally, that's so little about what we really dealing with. I'm just giving a few examples because that's what people will start talking. But that's what we working with. Go ahead, Bart, because I know you got something to go with too. I just want to mention a couple things that just I always
So
think about.
there's so we can break it down to couple of points. We can break it down to we can do it right here if we invest in black business. We can do it right here if we move to the south. We can do it right here if we vote. So we can base it off of three premises. So some people will say if we can do it right here if we invest in black businesses, if we, buy black, shop black, and that simply is a myth. Um, that's been a myth since the 1890s. It first came about in the 1890s, and it was to basically give black people this feeling that they could do something when they were being shut out of American society. So, in response to Jim Crow, in response to Plessy versus
Also,
Ferguson,
pause for a second. Let me say let me say this real quick, Boris. Let's cook. Muffin Man was supposed to be the person that come on. Let's cook. I'm gonna drop the link. You can drop the link, or I can drop the link to the StreamYard for anybody who think that we should do it right here, or think that nationhood is not what it is. And let's say the last 20 minutes, anybody in the BIO could come and just say whatever they have thoughts on it. You know what I mean? Because I don't want somebody who do want to come in and it be four or five of us on here, and they're like, heck no, I ain't gonna go in there and just get jumped, right? Because it's just
hmm
not a fair fight. However, I do want to have the link in here in case even if they somebody trolling, it'd still be nice to get some shots off at them, right? So go ahead and finish your thought though, and Big Brother Dawood, man, everybody in the chat room, man, straight up, we need to talk about a national BIO get together because Africa, all of us getting together, it fluctuates so hard, man. But anyway, go ahead. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so
Let me
in
mute myself.
response to Jim Crow, in response to Plessy versus Ferguson, the decade which is known as the Nadir of race relations, you had a situation where, in response to that, you had black businesses being seen as the alternative. So that's why you had the Atlanta Compromise in 1895, where Booker T. Washington basically advocates that black people just need to be docile, just assimilate, just focus on working on industry, black business, and everything sort of becomes fine. And that myth has continued to today. This was presented during the Black bourgeoisie, who kept talking about the myth of black business, and it's still being regurgitated today. If we invest in our dollars, if we buy black, we'll get to the promised land or some sort of salvation. This was Booker T. Washington, his organization, the National Negro Business League. You had um, other business organizations that were doing this, and
Mhm. Mhm.
and that premise is a problem because one is most black businesses are services. Black people are a single employee. Most black businesses are single employee or maybe one or two employees. Black businesses make smaller annual revenue compared to white businesses, and most black businesses lack capital. So you're telling us to do it right here when we make up a small percentage of all the businesses in America. Most of the businesses are in the service sector. Very few are in manufacturing, finances, retail, accommodation, and food services, information, and we're going up against multinational, multi-trillion dollar corporations. Apple is worth a trillion. Amazon's worth trillions. You want us to go up against
Mhm.
multinational, trillion-dollar corporations that not only have the money, the staff, and the capacity, but they have government influence. They
Well,
contribute to political committees, political action committee, also known as PACs.
well,
And so,
Barry, Barry, sorry, little bro, because you going so deep. You going so deep so quick. I'm serious though. No, I'm serious though. You going so deep so quick. Well, we don't even have to even start there. You like starting where we definitely need to be. That's where you start at though. But there is stuff that we can do intercommunal, supporting with a purpose, like not just hyper supporting black businesses. Like let's say We Buy Black. Now We Buy Black had a stance where like no, well a percentage of all of this is going to this, is going to nationhood. for instance, a percentage of all sales, whether you're selling toothpaste or whether you're selling underwear or whether you're selling jewelry, a percentage is going to nationhood, whether it's 1%. Now that is enticing. Now I want to spend all my money on We Buy Black now because I'm not just making individual millionaires and individual 100,000aires and who just want to floss and say, "Look at me, I made it out. You can too. I made it out. You can too." Because that's what happens with it. People have get their money and then they say, "Yeah, I'm gonna help who I can, but I made it and you can too. I worked hard," and they did. But it's about supporting on purpose. That's one. Voting, buying politicians, doing investing in politicians, voting in blocks instead of just going rampant and saying, "Well, we just gonna run with the Democrats and we don't care what they do. I'm just a Democrat because I hate the Republicans." That's something that we can't do. How about this? Come up with our own black party. I would love that to happen, and I know why people don't because they know when nothing happens, they'll look at us and laugh at us. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. But I love talking that when the people preaching the politics stuff say, "Well, let's get our own party. We need we're a special interest group. Let's act like one." Cricket. Cricket. We can't do that. We can't. But what are we doing there? We just playing this game like we're just to act like we're involved to participate. But yeah, yeah, man. There is things that we can do right here, but we don't. And that's the biggest gut punch. There are things that we can do right here to to put our foot in, and then when it gets to that place where it's like, wait a minute, y'all trying to really get power, and they shut it down. That's when we can then say, okay, y'all will. So y'all still gonna do it here? Because we don't have the foothold. We don't have the foothold. We don't have the foothold, and we don't have the empathy. So we don't have the power, and the power that we do have is our human capital. Is our human capital? Yeah, we don't use that. And our human capital, that's when it comes with voting with a purpose, supporting black business with a purpose. But we have to do that stuff together, and we have a hard time doing that. But go ahead, I don't ran my mouth enough. All right, I know you're still cooking.
So when it comes to political influence, not only are they multinational trillion-dollar corporations, but they are of strategic interest. So these are in strategic industries: information technology, aerospace, artificial intelligence, things that have real sway. So let's say you have a black political action committee chair, well, I mean, or political action committee, or a black act. You're not going to be able to compete against Amazon. Like, you could contribute $2.5 million. Amazon could contribute billions if they wanted to. Even though there is a cap, but they have the money to the resources to where if they really want to, they could easily stop that. And since you don't have a government, you don't have protections, you're basically subject to being shut out because these companies can do what's called barriers to entry. They can make the barriers to entry really high to where you can't compete. And so, even though you're trying to buy black, you're trying to do black businesses, you can't really succeed because you're not in the environment conducive. And also, you're going up against multinational trillion-dollar corporations and companies. So, that is the myth of black business. And like, in to get to the point of why buying black is a problem, not because you shouldn't support black business, but just supporting black businesses because you believe in supporting black businesses is a problem. Because there is something called a standard. When I go to a business, I expect to be charged a similar price to market value. I expect good customer service. I expect for it to have what I need. I'm not going to buy black just because to buy black. That is a terrible way of thinking because at the end of the day, you buying black. But understand this: you spending $5 to $10 more is coming out your paycheck, which is coming out your cost of living. Okay, it's not like these black businesses have the money and resources to supplement you if something goes wrong. If I'm in a situation where I spend $5 to $10 more, that's eating through my income. I need all that money worth of income. $5 to $10 may not seem a lot. Do it 5 to 10 times. 50, 100, 200, $300 more. It starts to add up. So that is why it's problematic. There is a standard, there's market value, there's market price, and it needs to be matching accordingly. Not just because we're buying black just to support black. Another aspect is again, most black businesses are services. They use middlemen. Most of these black businesses are not textile firms, cotton producing firms, metallurgy, mining, metallurgy, transportation, water resources. You know, most black businesses are not that. They're services, and they have one or two black employees. So therefore, Flames, I understand your point. I get what you're saying. Here's where there's an issue. The issue is most black people are not employed by black businesses. We are not captains of industry. Most black people are not employed by black businesses. Most black businesses have one to two employees. That is why it's difficult to do it right here. Because you have the lack of capital, your one to two employees, it's very difficult to do it right here. Again, this is why the do it right here is deeply problematic. This is why we say you can't do it right here. You're not in the environment that's conducive. You need an environment that's conducive. You need to have an environment that not only is able to provide employment, but provide subsidies, provide investments, make support you. Because many of these white businesses get subsidies, they get grants, they get all of this extra investment that allows for them to blossom. I mean, during 2008, during the recession, they got bailout money. Obama bailed out Wall Street, bailed them out. The auto industry and all that. 2020, bail out the airline industry during COVID. During COVID, 41% of all black businesses shut down. Most black businesses weren't able to get the necessary funding.
That's
So
well. I
we're in
want
a
to.
situation to where, again, if you had your own nation,
How do you,
you
I
could
want to? I want.
invest.
Well, I want
At,
to talk about how can we intertwine this with. Excuse me, Bart, but I want to intertwine this because I think it has to be addressed. The ADOS, the ADOS and FBA crowd, but they don't think that they African. So it's like, however, they do think that this is their home and their nation. So I guess it could be like, okay, FBA, but I really don't want to talk to them no kind of because they don't think they're African anyway. But I do think that they get in the way of people who are African and know it
I think
and know that about them.
you have to address their points.
And
You got
you
to
know what
address
I'm saying?
you have to
You know
address
what I
the
mean? Because I
baseline.
think that they like taking people away from nationhood who really need to be nationhood, who know they ain't no dang Choctaw Indian or Margaret, whatever, whoever they say that they is. I really don't listen to any of them. So yeah, but cause it's just ridiculous. Because if you want to say that this is your spot, it's like, okay, when is this revolution gonna happen? And if you're not saying you're African, we ain't gonna talk about Africa. Just gonna talk bad about it, right? But yeah, it's I don't really know. I don't even know any of their points except for that they say that they was here since Columbus. You know
I
what
mean,
I'm saying? Like
there
that's
are a
like the
lot of
biggest point that they just Americans. That's
there
they don't
are
want to talk. You know,
there are a lot of points what FBA and ADOS do that I can address. So one of the points of
particularly when it comes to doing it right here, like having the nation,
one
having
one
black
of one
black
of the
flourishing here.
one of the premises that they have is um, as it pertains to reparations. Now, granted, none of us are opposed to reparations. We make that well known.
Not at all. Shoot.
One of the points that they'll say is, well, other groups got reparations, but we haven't. They'll bring up Japanese Americans, they'll bring up Native Americans,
Hmm.
and this is a fundamentally flawed argument.
Chinese,
You comparing you bring up Japanese Americans.
uh,
Okay, so
Jews,
let's
people
break
who
down
still
Japanese.
get reparations.
Let's let's break down their talking point of reparations for Japanese Americans. Let's break it down. So Japanese Americans received their reparations in 1988. During the late
Sorry,
1980s,
y'all. My back.
Japanese Americans got reparations. One, because it was during the US Japan
Hey,
trade
this
war.
Simba.
So during the 1980s, Japan was one of the fastest growing economies, if not the fastest growing economy in the world. In the 1980s, Japan had the highest per capita income of any country in the world. It was considered a booming decade in the 1980s. They had the highest living standard. There were fears of a Japanese takeover. Japan had accounted for roughly 60% of all the GDP in Asia in the 1980s. So the US was in a trade war with Japan. That's number one. Number two, when Japanese Americans were interned, that was in 1941, they were given reparations in 1988, 47 years after internment. That means, well, actually 43 years after internment. What that means is that we can trace directly who was interned.
Mhm.
They,
Mhm.
we can literally speak to people who are descendants, or we can literally speak to people who were actually internment, who were actually interned. Okay, and here's the thing that they're forgetting about: the number of Japanese Americans who got reparations. There were only 120,000 to 140,000 Japanese Americans at the time in the entire country. You're talking about a small percentage
Right.
of people. And
Right.
guess what?
right. Right.
You have ADOS and FBA saying reparations should be in the trillions, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what they'll say. Give each black man like 350,000, 100,000, at the bare minimum 100,000, but like give us like 250,000, 350,000, 5, 10 trillion dollars worth of money. Japanese Americans got a check for 20,000. So again, you're comparing yourself to a group that, one, they were easily able to trace their ancestry. Two, because they represent Japan. Japanese Americans come from Japan, so we know the country that they represent, the nation state of Japan. Two, we have living people that can attest to their
More minutes,
internment.
hey.
And three, you have people who are only getting 20,000. That's not a lot of money. That's $20,000. What you gonna do? That's a
Well,
small amount of money given
can I
to
ask you?
Japanese.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think you mentioned it, but the fact that they actually had a nation, Japan. Pardon if I'm having sound issues. I'm outside because it's hotter in the garage. But Japan has a nation. The Native Americans got sovereign land. They got hustled. Somebody said earlier that they got reparation ish, right? You know what I'm saying? They got hustled, and plus, America did what they do and got their leaders to scam their own people, basically, and it
Mhm.
still happens today. Like I was recently talking to a native guy, and he was like, "Yeah, my people in my land, the elders, blah 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 blah. Like they just people are just crooked. You know what I'm saying? They come in all shapes and sizes and races. But I want you to speak of if we was to claim Liberia as our rightful nation, and then say, okay, we'll break off them reparations. Now we actually could give you basically a business plan of how we're gonna use these reparations that you owe us, and that what we're gonna do with them, like deuces. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would that look like, or what's the difference? When we talk about the Jews
The,
getting reparations, the Ukraine getting help, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, what's the
yeah,
difference between us being in America saying, give us some money, you know what I mean, as opposed to
yeah,
like, no, we have our own spot.
yeah. So even when we talk about the Jewish community, although reparations was given to Holocaust survivors, the bulk of reparations went to Israel. And I'm going to bring it up right now. I'm about to share my screen so people understand what I'm talking about. This is what it's called. Okay, let me show my screen. Let me show my screen for a second. So here it is. September 10th, 1952. Okay. German reparations to Israel. The 1952 treaty and its effect. Okay. That's what it's called. Okay. Okay. And hold on. I want y'all to look. I wish I could go back, but I want you guys to look at this. Look at the point that it said. Despite the protests, the agreement was signed in September 1952, and West Germany paid Israel a sum of 3 billion marks over the next 14 years. 450 million marks were paid to the World Jewish Organization. The payments were made to the State of Israel as the heirs to the victims who had no surviving family. Okay, what does that mean? It means that Israel represents the land of the Jewish people. Jewish people were the ones who were subjected to that abuse during the Holocaust. Therefore, Israel serves as the spokesperson, as a representative of the Jewish people. So, you are righting the wrong to the Jewish people by sending that money to the nation that represents them, which is Israel. Okay? So, when we claim Liberia as our nation state and say Liberia is a land of African Americans. Okay,
I agree
let's
with
say,
brother Kevin ultimately.
unless we
Go ahead,
have
go
a
ahead.
nation, reparations are given to nations, in my opinion. But when African Americans, if they claim Liberia as their nation state, right, you don't have to do all of the hard work of having to trace people's lineages and all that, having to say, because, okay, one of the qualifications is that reparations should be given to people who had an ancestor that was living in, let's say, a descendant of slave who was present in the 1870 or let's say 1900 census. Okay, well, let's see that criteria. What if, because there's going to be, you're going to have to factor this consideration in. Let's say I'm a Dominican and I had this whole debacle on Twitter. What if I am a Dominican or a Mexican who is who is Samana or Muskogo? So, for those who do not know, the Muskogos are descendants of African American runaways who went to Mexico. What if I am a Mexican who is a descendant of them, and I can verify that my ancestors came from chattel slavery before the Civil War? I'm a descendant of slaves.
Let,
What if I
let me
came
pause.
back? What if I
Let me
came back in the 1880s or 1890s? Okay, are you then going to tell me, or some of my relatives went back to 1880s or 1890s? They went back to the U.S. Are you going to tell me that because I'm Mexican, but my descendants are African American, and I can verify, and I have relatives living here, that I don't deserve reparations? I thought we were the descendants of Black people who were enslaved in America. I'm a descendant of that. I can prove that. I can attest that. I can verify it. You're going to tell me no? You said this is based on lineage. My lineage can be traced back to American slavery.
Hmm. I want to know. I
Yeah.
want to know. Is anybody in here? Is anybody in here who think that we can do it right here? Like, where are y'all people at? I know y'all out there. I know y'all out there. Y'all gonna look when we done. When it's what time is it there? 9:30. When it's 9:30 and we get off, y'all gonna listen to the video and y'all gonna be snickering and just can't wait and just like I don't know what y'all be doing, but y'all gonna listen to it and y'all gonna just I don't know what y'all do. Maybe y'all like listen to the videos amongst each other or something. You know, y'all share with y'all friends every Monday night at dinner or something. But if y'all think that we can do it right here, I'm willing to listen. Or if y'all don't think that we can do it on the continent, I'm willing to listen. That's why we're here. We want to talk to y'all people. I'm personally tired of talking amongst ourselves with it.
Hmm.
Trying to plan these visits. Like we know what we're doing. We got other stuff to talk about. We got other stuff to talk about too. We could talk about what we're doing individually because we know y'all gonna say that. What are you guys doing? We could talk about what we need to do over on the continent because we don't think it's all milk and honey. But specifically today, we want to talk about the people who think we can do something right. Really though, where y'all at? Because that irritated me hearing somebody come on somebody else's stream talking about BIO in a negative light, and it was incorrect. I could see if they were saying like, they stupid, they think they can go to Africa and do something. Africans don't like them, something like that. But no, dude said no, y'all don't like Caribbeans, and this it pointed out some stuff that was like factually incorrect and stuff that I've never heard in my life
And
with the
I think we have
BIO. Like,
Caribbeans that are in the BAO.
I know, D, I know this, I know this. Hey, come on, bro, I know this.
Just,
Seriously, it was so disrespectful. Straight up, it was so disrespectful, and I'm like, where you at? We here, like straight up. We here for you. We here for you. We're here for you. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because that's what I want to talk about. But go ahead if you want to keep dosing them up. I just like yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I said that to say I really don't have anything else to say unless something interesting comes out of your conversation or the comments. Go ahead, G. I'm
Yeah,
scared.
it's good to reinforce to keep reinstating it so people can fine tune it. Um, so yeah, um, so what if I'm a Dominican descendant of Samana? My ancestors were enslaved. They escaped to Philadelphia. They ended up landing in the Dominican Peninsula, what's known as Samana Peninsula. And I'm a Dominican American. I've been here for identify myself as black on the U.S. Census. I'm a descendant of slaves. Who are you to tell me I can't get reparations? I thought this was through lineage. I have your lineage. I have your heritage. It's not like I'm 1%. I have a substantial portion of me being of African American ancestry. I can verify it. I have the culture. I still speak Black American English or African American English.
like they
Who are
do in Liberia.
who are you to tell me that I don't qualify? I I was on that plantation with y'all. I was able to get out.
That's a really, you know what? You making a super solid point. You making a solid point. And again,
Because what
I
you're
know
gonna
that
say
I know
is
that there's a real sophisticated word for what you're doing because you breaking down a cold point and then people will just go like it's well nope nope and try to minimize it like it's not a
they'll
solid
say,
point. It's
well,
a
they'll
huge
say
point.
this. Well, they'll say this though. They will say this. They will say, well, they weren't there during Jim Crow. Hold on, wait a minute. You said descendant of slaves. That means people who are the descendants of people who have been enslaved in the U.S. You can't then move the goalposts and say, well, they didn't experience Jim Crow. Hold on, wait a minute. You said descendants of slaves. Okay? You said the descendants of slaves. I put it in this one right here. Um, yeah, Flames 2.0 said it the same thing. Americos, Nova Scotians, Americans, Samoan and others in the African American diaspora should be considered for reparations after mainstream African Americans get reparations. Yeah, you're gonna have to include. Oh,
Hey, peace to the people. Is that family? What up though? I'm gonna act
sorry,
ignorant.
sorry, sorry,
Ah,
y'all.
don't be trying. Don't be. Look. I'm nosy. Was that mama? Was that
Yeah,
mama?
yes,
That was
yes,
mama.
yes,
Oh man, you got mama in the building. Okay, I see what's
yes,
going on over there. Look? I want to know what's for dinner. Dang it,
yes, y'all.
all of it. That's what's up. Go ahead. Look. Barry, like, mama, what the heck? Coming in here trying to clean up and going on.
Yeah,
You talking about Africa?
yeah, yeah. It's getting a little late, so she.
Anybody
But
from the BIO want to come in? I go to link. I go to link. Anybody can come in now. Whoever want to come in the last 20 minutes, anybody can come in and talk about the topic. The heck was that? Sound like
Great
something like
outdoors.
right. I'm like, what the heck was that? Stolen or
Yeah,
traitor? What does that mean, Kevin? What does that mean, Kevin? Stolen or traitor?
no, no, I'm not Flames. Nobody is saying that they shouldn't be
Right.
included or we should focus primarily. The point of it is the contradiction of it. We consider them and we know they're part of our community, our lineage. The people who FBA and ADOS don't even consider them. They said, oh, they fled to the Dominican Republic, so they're Dominicans, they're not African American. That's the point I'm getting at.
Yeah, especially since we know that the U.S.
Oh, I see.
bred and sold more slaves throughout the 1830s from the Caribbeans, from the Carolinas, and from Louisiana. Some of them went to Jamaica, some of them went to Haiti, some of them went to Trinidad. So they probably do have African American lineage. That doesn't even make sense as an argument.
Yeah, so that's the point that I'm saying. If we claim ourselves as an ethnic group and want to be a nation, an ethnic group is not static and it's not closed. It's fluid and it's ever changing. Okay? So that's the point we're trying to make
Right.
is you have them say comparing themselves to other groups that have different circumstances or saying, well, they're not part of our
What
group
Deontay
because they
do?
went to other countries. And that's not what an ethnic group means. And that's not what the criteria of an ethnic group is. That's the point that we're trying to say. Okay. Flames and also flames, to answer your question, yes, they are. They've explicitly said they don't count. That's the problem. Me and you understand they're part of our community. So yeah, they should. But they're saying they don't even get it at all. And they make up a big population, quite to what people think. So in Samana, it's estimated that about 500,000 Dominicans have African American ancestry. There, 500,000. You have in Sierra Leone, 250,000 to 500,000, rough estimate. Liberia, you have 50 to 150,000. So the numbers are quite substantial. Yes, they're in the minority, but they are a substantial portion of the population, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And nobody's saying they're the majority, but we're saying they shouldn't be excluded. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, oh, well, they don't count. Oh, well, they're not really part of our lineage. When that's not the definition of ethnic group and lineage. That's the point. Another point that they'll say is well, you know, this is our country. My response is, okay, yeah, we built the country.
By
We
force.
yeah, by force, and we were the labor class. Okay. And when you claim this is yours, that means you control it. When I say this is my house, that means I run this house. I control it. I dictate who comes in, who comes out, what you will do in the house. That's like me saying that that would be me saying, or that would be me being like, you coming into Deontay's house and telling Deontay, you can't tell me I can't, let's say, drink alcohol. I know you do it, but let's say you didn't drink alcohol. That's like me coming to y'all saying, well, I can drink alcohol. No, you can't. This is my house. I run it. This ain't your house. You ain't controlling it. You ain't dictating nothing. You do what I tell you to do. You're not going to drink alcohol in my house. That is the rule. If you don't want to do it, you can go somewhere else where you run it and you can control it. So again, that's what we're premising on. Since we don't run and control America, we don't dictate the terms. If we're tired and frustrated of this, the best situation would be to go somewhere where we control it. And why not go
To a country we already own and founded.
with it? It's that simple. Where I get to dictate terms. I control the economy, the government, the politics, everything. Because I brought up this point about systems. Systems are meant to maintain themselves, and they're meant to maintain themselves directly and indirectly. White supremacy is so entrenched in America that you don't need individual white people to be racist. The
No,
system itself reinforces it. They don't have to be directly or conscious about it. It's indirect, it's subconscious. That's how a system works. You don't have to directly participate, you're indirectly participating in it, whether you're aware of it or not. That's what a system does. Thank you. Thank you,
You said it.
Flames.
You said it. Flames is claiming
I mean,
for you.
he's right. I agree,
There
brother.
you go.
Let
There
you
you go. Let me speak to what superstar sister Selena said. Please. Why are there so many black people who are opposed to having their own? It's sad. And the
because they're
question
comfortable where they
comes.
are.
Well, but I
Salima,
don't think so. I
Salima,
don't think you can
Salima.
be comfortable. Hang on. Let me just say, I'll say it quick because we are running out of time. I don't think you can be comfortable when you see that your people getting shot up 60 times. I don't think you can be comfortable when you're seeing people getting kneeled on, and you can't be comfortable when you actually see and realize and it's thrown in your face now. But when you talk about power, it's like you like talking about evil. You know what I mean? Straight up, when you talk about, matter of fact, we don't even talk about that. Similar to how we don't talk about unity anymore. We never ever talk about power. Even back in the '60s, there was at least saying power to the people, even though they meant all oppressed people. They meant power. They meant that. Like, no, we need to be in control of our community. That was a real thing back then. Now we literally think
Mm,
no. We just say no. You politicians, you need to start doing your jobs. Hey, no, you guys need to start hiring us. Hey, no, you guys, you know what I'm saying? We just always throw it off to the people in control.
emotion,
Like, no, you guys need to start being nice.
emotion.
You guys, instead of saying, no, we're gonna have our own.
I can sum it. I can sum it up. I can sum it up.
We have our
I can sum it
own.
up. I
Jeez.
can sum it up. People want the benefits of a nation state without having a nation, without actually having a nation state. You want the benefits of a nation state, but you don't want to be a nation state.
Well, people just want the benefits, but they want nothing to do with the work. I want to just come up.
Period.
I just want to show up to work with my tools on, literally touch nothing. But when everything is built, be like, where my check at? I got this nice house that I built and didn't do nothing though. Like that's the
You
thing. We want the
want
benefits, no
so
work.
so here's the thing. You want the benefits of a nation state, but you don't want a nation because you say we need to be protected. We need to have priority. Well, if you want to be protected in priority, that's the function of a nation state. The nation state
Yeah,
would prioritize you. If you have your own nation state, you are
yeah.
prioritized.
Yeah, and listen, I want to say again. I want to say again in case somebody come in late. And a big bro, exactly. And I don't know if you heard me when I was talking about the dude who came on a random YouTube video slandering BIO, but 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 it is frustrating though, right? Like where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? Like let's just talk about this and hash this out because I want people to just look crazy so people will stop following them. You know what I mean? Like straight up. Stop following these weirdos.
Here's the thing, right?
Nobody's trying to
I kid you
care.
not. I kid you not. And Deontay can tell you about those FBA ADOS people because we have been engaging with them heavily.
Yeah.
The ins, I mean, the insanity of some of their arguments.
Oh yeah. I was told Pan Africanism has always been a tool for white supremacy, and I just zoned out after I heard that.
We're gonna do one. We're gonna do a video on that. We're gonna do a video on that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
We're gonna do a video on that. Flames. We're definitely gonna do a video on that.
Yeah, it passed, Flames. It did pass. It did. It from what I understand though. Yeah, let's not get off topic. Let's not get off topic.
We can have a whole
But
discussion about that because that was good.
yeah,
I'm
but
glad.
but it did pass, and it is exciting. Like it's not all the way how it needs to be for us, but it is exciting though. It's still exciting. It's
Mhm.
definitely like it's the most exciting political news I've heard in a while. I
And
mean,
this
that like
goes
affects us more than just like. what happened on the continent. It's like happened on the continent, but it affects us in a dope way,
and
like straight up.
quickly, I just want to bring up the point because this is so important. I want people to listen to what one of the senators said in the if you read the article. Um, it's so important. This is why I said
Which one? Which
um,
article about what?
Liberia's dual citizenship because this is
Go
so
ahead.
important.
Yes, please.
It's now they're gonna use an antiquated term, but
The Negro, yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
yeah,
I didn't like that either. I didn't like that at all. I was like, why y'all use that? What's wrong with y'all? Y'all PR is horrible.
I mean
Go
Jamaica.
ahead.
Jamaica does something similar, but it,
Y'all gotta
it
excuse me. My back messed up.
he
Rubbing on
said
this chair,
this.
looking crazy.
So the Liberian committee said our country our country has dedicated this year to welcoming all people of Negro descent, and to do that, it is necessary for these amendments to our alien and national laws to be enacted if we are to achieve our vision and explorations we have set for ourselves.
Let's go.
Our
Let's
country
go.
is dedicated, listen to the sentence.
Hmm.
This sentence right here says it. Our country has dedicated itself as the home of the Negro race, the conference committee said in its report, read by the Secretary of the Senate, Nabolar Sengbe.
The
Can you
language is
share? Can you
stupid,
share that link?
but that's dope. That's dope.
I'm
The
about to,
Negro, just calling the Negroes, like claiming the Negro. So I'm telling you, we Black Africans. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
I'm about to put it in the chat so people understand what I'm talking about. This is what he
Please
said.
do.
Yeah, do that because I actually want that my dang self.
Here it is. Sorry, here's what it says. Our country has dedicated itself as the home of the Negro race, the conference committee said in its report, read by the secretary read by the Secretary of the Senate, Nabola
I can't copy
Sengde.
it.
And where can I find this at?
Front page, I'm about to share the link. Here it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Front page Africa. And that is a Liberian newspaper. Here it is, y'all.
Man,
Here,
yes. I need Bari, please can you text it straight to me? I'm on my little laptop and I can't copy it and like save it somewhere from in StreamYard. Can you give me that link please?
yeah,
With Front
yeah,
Page Africa Online?
Put it
That'd be dope.
in
Or
the
put it
group, in
anywhere.
the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
group.
yeah.
You get me?
yeah.
Thank
I'll put it in soon. But yeah,
thank you so
that
much. Try to
that
remember
is the
please.
words of the conference chair. Our country has
That's super
dedicated.
dope.
They're literally telling you
That's
this is
super
our
dope.
home.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is tight though. That is tight.
What we
That's
waiting
a
for?
big step. No, and the reason why that's such a big step though is that opens the door for us to come as an organized group and say, well, your language said this. We want to see this actually happen, and this is what we bring into the table. You know what I'm saying? And we're not asking
Mhm,
for nothing, but just to come in and get support. You know what I'm saying? We're not asking for no handouts. We're just asking for support from y'all to build this future. Like that's a huge deal, actually. And it's interesting how it's happening simultaneously as we keep on pushing this Liberia and pushing the yeah. I really like it. That's pretty cool, actually.
mhm.
Pretty cool. I like
Like I
that.
said, listen, there's so many Liberian organizations we can work with to get stuff going.
Mhm.
Bunch.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, that's
again,
real dope.
you have it right here. We get to have the benefits and the nation state.
Hey, y'all, make sure y'all share this too, cause
I'm
I know
sharing
it's
it
some
now.
ADOS.
Give me a second.
I know it's some ADOS and FBA people on y'all pages, man. Share it. I need to start coming on Twitter and messing with you. I think some of my stuff gets shared to Twitter, but I don't look at Twitter or engage like
Hmm.
at all, really. Usually when it's like a
Yeah.
sporting event
Oh,
season that I'm into, I look,
to
but
get
I
to
don't
get
really.
back to FBA ADOS, right? There was this one FBA
Yeah.
ADOS person who literally said that I have nothing in common with a Dominican. We don't have similar cultures, heritages, ancestry. We don't even have the.
Oh, that bullshit. Yeah, I was there.
He said we don't even have the same bone density. I instantly.
I laughed at him.
I'm like bone. You don't have the same bone density with any other
Oh,
person.
and don't forget the button nose, Jabari. Don't forget the button nose. Yeah, I read that too. That was hilarious.
Yeah, and then there was another FBA person who said, "Do we look the same?"
Yeah,
I mean, oh my god.
that nigga looks like a pure like West African dude. I thought he was foreign when I saw his picture.
Dude, and Africans were pointing him. They were showing him to pictures of other West Africans. Like, bro, you're literally the
Yeah,
same.
you look just like him.
But this, I mean, you gotta engage them. You gotta go front to front with them. And notice, and like I pointed out, right?
Four
When
more
I
minutes,
made
dog.
that,
We done.
when I we're about to wrap it up. When I made the tweet
Mhm.
and they disagreed, notice what they did. They said, "I'm an African immigrant." They said, "Oh, you're an African immigrant. Why are you talking? You're fresh off the boat." When I'm an African American, see right there, they're automatically assuming that I'm an African because I disagree with their stance. They're not really about
Because
the
their
they're
whole
not really about
concept
the
of design is to attack black immigrants. They're
Mhm. They're not
like
really
I told the one, yeah, like I told the one dude, I said, can you tell me one thing that ADOS has done positively for the collective? Because I can name what Pan Africanism is done by a mile. I don't know
Mhm.
what ADOS is doing except fighting other black people.
Mhm.
So
And again, why do you assume because we disagree with your position that we're black immigrants, that we're Caribbeans, that we're
because
Pan
that's who
African?
they because that's who they want to fight.
Yeah. So if they want to fight us, we'll gladly bring the fight to them. Like I said, one of the things that I've learned is we got to bring the fight to them.
Right, and that kind of has something to do with like showing our faces more. You know what I mean? And like coming out here like, hey, what it is, right? Because people like conflict, people like drama, you know,
Yeah.
and really most of our content, like to the masses in terms of entertainment, it's not the most entertaining stuff unless you went to doing research and studying and you know what I mean, history and stuff like that. But yeah, we don't come on here shaking our ass and trying to be cute or trying to sell something, you know. So
Let me
yeah,
say
but
this though.
however,
Let me
we
say this
will talk
though.
some shit to them people. That's
Let
okay.
me
I'm
say
okay
this
with that.
though. He said Flame said all they do is use no true Scotsman arguments against people that disagree with them. Exactly. And also let
I
me
don't
say
understand.
Flames.
Pardon me for not understanding. Break that no true Scotsman down. I'm sure I do, but I don't know that term. No true Scotsman. Give me an example real quick, please. Sorry to waste time, but I don't understand
It's a,
that
it's a
phrase.
lo- it's a
No true
logical
Scotsman.
fallacy. It's a logical fallacy.
Got you.
So
Got you. That makes sense.
yeah.
You don't gotta explain anymore. I got you. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's important because what Flames brought up is exactly the point about ethnic groups. No true Scotsman is basically an appeal to purity. So basically, what they're
Ah.
saying is you're not a pure African American, so your
Hmm.
opinion doesn't count. That's what they do to
Hmm.
Black immigrants. They do that to African Dominicans who have African American
Yeah.
ancestry. They're
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
because you're not a pure, because you haven't been here the entire time, you don't count. You don't have the right to speak. They're not going on actually what an ethnic group means. They're just doing it off of purity. And before we
Somebody
go,
got
I want to say before we go, Flames, love the avatar picture. Love you pick EJ Roy. Love the fact that you choose him. Love that you pick
You
EJ
gotta come
Roy
and chop
as
chop
your.
it up with us sometimes, Flames. I think they did come on a while ago, like last year sometime they came on
Yeah, I'm about to
a
say
couple of
Flames. We
times.
would like to have you on. I'm about to say Flames. We
Straight
would
up
like to
though,
have.
the last 20 minutes is gonna be for anybody to chop it up. If ain't no takers, I don't think people gonna come. I don't think
Yeah, I'm
people
about to
gonna come
say
and be serious. I think somebody might come and start screaming and just trolling a couple of times, maybe in the future. But we're gonna keep being here. We're gonna keep being here, straight up.
yeah Flames. Would you want to
Nah,
come
let's
on? Cause
go
I.
ahead and end it. I'm ready to get to the
Okay.
actual place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's get to the what's the name? Let's
But
get to the
yeah,
Yeah,
Discord.
let's do that.
yeah.
We'll
But
call it a night.
anyway, love. Anyway, love
Peace
the
and
EJ
VR.
Roy avatar. Love the
Peace to
EJ
all
Roy
y'all.
avatar.
You already know. Join BAIO. Go register. Come on, so we can chop it up off of here. We do talk a lot outside of here. We link up
Yeah,
when we
I'm
in the
about to
same space.
say.
Let's talk about. Can we talk about? Yeah. Let's get to the Discord. Let's get to the Discord. Bye, y'all. I'm done.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Peace,
Talk to
y'all.
y'all in a
Peace.
minute.
Peace.
Peace with it.